Between the days 7 and May 14, young university students of the North American state of Florida visited the First Methodist Church of Bayamo City in Cuba. Together with the congregation in Bayamo, they participated in some services of worship and praise, having renewed experiences.
Yeah, it's way more dancing than I've ever been a part of.
Dice que es mucha danza de la que jamás en su vida
Sí.
había visto.
I never dance, but for Cuba, I'll dance.
Dice que nunca antes había danzado, pero aquí en Cuba danza. The language was not here a barrier for no one of the parts. The Cubans could render up songs in English. In the meantime, the visitors made their own letters in Spanish, proving that in Christ everything is possible. In interchange with the Methodist League of Youth, the American students knew a lot about Cuba, the charisma of its people, the surrendering in adoration, and the appeased way to praise and live God. That way, among dances, dynamics, and games, little by little, they were getting caught with the revival, and they ended up as part of these charismatic people.
I have noticed that there is just a really big passion to worship Christ through music and through dance and through fellowship, and it's totally different than here in the States.
Pude ver que aquí los jóvenes tienen una pasión especial por Dios, una pasión por la alabanza, por la danza, que no tenemos allá en los Estados.
What do you think about this experience?
It's been incredible. I've just learned so many things, and even though I don't speak Spanish, it's been great community and great just to learn.
Ha sido una experiencia grandiosa, a pesar de que no conozco el idioma de aquí, verdad que he conocido cosas maravillosas.
Like Amanda right here, she just came up and sat down during service and just sat down right next to me and just be with the Lord and just had a great night.
Por ejemplo, los niños, por ejemplo, el caso de Amanda, vino, se sentó al lado mío y me abrazó y me dijo, yo te amo, y juntas pudimos alabar al Señor en el culto. Experiences were many, from a lively service to a deep worship in a black couch. And precisely in the service of biblical study that was held without electricity, Pastor Eric Sees called the town to move not for the worldly things, but for the Spirit of the God of heavens.
When we are focused on earthly things, we become very individually centered.
Y cuando nosotros nos enfocamos en las cosas terrenales, terminamos enfocándonos en nosotros mismos.
And God calls us to be Christ-centered.
Y Dios quiere que nosotros vivamos con vidas centradas en Jesús.
Which loves the Lord our God with our heart, mind, and soul.
Porque Dios es el Dios de nuestros corazones, de nuestra mente y de nuestras almas.
And loves our neighbor.
Y amar al prójimo.
In the program of activities, the American group also visited other three Methodist churches of the district Sierra Maestra, one in Boya Arriba, another in the rural community El Sabial, and finally the church in Giza.
I found myself yesterday
Ayer me encontré yo mismo
praying for the Cuban church
orando por la iglesia en Cuba.
because I believe the Cuban church is being moved by God
Porque creo firmemente que la iglesia de Cuba es movida por Dios
in such a way that when the American church or the one in the States,
de tal manera que en las iglesias de los Estados Unidos,
if it continues in the path it's going and moves away from God, if it continues in the direction it's going away from God,
si continúan alejándose de Dios,
the Cuban church will be the one that sends missionaries
será entonces que la iglesia cubana mande misioneros allá a los Estados Unidos a predicar.
and worst case scenario, if we get to be part of that back and forth brother sister process of building up the church so that there is someone to rescue us in our time.
Y qué bueno que hayan podido tener la oportunidad de compartir acá con hermanos de la iglesia de Cuba.
Before the farewell, they gave us back some of affection and love that they found in Cuba, and they delighted the host congregation with its gift and talents.
To me,